What's going on, Summoners? Welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. I'm Kangas, and I think I speak for everyone here when I say that solo carrying your heavy-ass teammates is one of the best feelings when playing Wild Rift. But not every champion in the game is fully equipped to do that. So let's take a look at some of the best champions that are. Hit that sub button, and let's get right into it.
So we had to start off the list in our first slot with the champion that you're all familiar with, for good or worse. Lee Sin is still ruling the Rift from the jungle position. As a champion, his base stats are insanely high and one might even argue overtuned. But on the flip side, he needs those insanely early stats if you take a look at his weak scaling. So if you're a player that likes to style on your opponents and make plays on knife's edges, then Lee Sin is a perfect fit. He loves stomping his opposition, and there's not much anybody can do about his early game presence, apart from trying to ward and avoid him with the vision that you've built up. To play him efficiently though, you have to enter a specific mindset. For improvement, you can usually separate players into two different ones. One is focused on killing your enemy, and the other is focused on survival. To learn and improve as a player, focusing primarily on survival can cause a huge mental blockade that you need to overcome. Your first thoughts in a fight are consequently not looking on how to win the fight, but how to survive the fight. On the other hand, you need to have a killer mentality that lots of people will call reckless. Keep in mind, it's only recklessness if you do the same thing over and over again without learning from it. It's more about testing the limits of your champion, as you need to play in this kind of style to carry games as Lee Sin. With that said, invading the enemy jungler and always contesting scuttle crabs are your signature moves that you have to make use of every game. Now before we go to the next pick, I gotta remind everybody to join our Discord through the link in the description below. We have all kinds of giveaways and you can get free skins, and we also have community activities, so don't miss out on your chance to become part of the ProGuides fam. Also remember to like the video and sub to the channel if you enjoyed these. We got lots more content coming out that you won't wanna miss. Alright, next up on the list is another champion that carries through the jungle position. Similar to Lee Sin, Evelynn is still valued as an absolute monster of a pick. She's just got everything you want from a champion. Insane clear, brutal scaling, and an inbuilt stealth from her passive. More than that, she's able to secure every single objective thanks to her ultimate ability. In a solo queue environment, Evelynn is easily one of the most obnoxious champions to deal with. The reason for that is just simple. She's stealthy. Upon reaching level 5, her passive grants her invisibility out of combat. Now that doesn't sound too bad right now, but keep in mind this stealth ability creates global pressure on the map. Evelynn could be here, or she could be there. As of now, there's no specific wards in the game that reveal her while stealth. The only thing you can do is ward her jungle and hope that you can spot her while she's doing her camps. And with that information, then you can try and guess where she's gonna go next. In addition to that, she can not only secure every single objective for her team, well, she's also alive. The enemy is forbidden to do any major objectives themselves. Keep that combo in mind that I talked about when it comes to securing objectives. All she has to do to steal it is walk up, ult, and smite. And for some reason, people will still blame their jungler for losing that objective to Evelynn. I mean, give him a break. What are they supposed to do? Overall, compared to Lee Sin, Evelynn is just a safer pick that scales insanely well into the late game. But there's one thing that you have to be aware of. You don't want to engage into too many early skirmishes, as you're relatively weak against champions that jump on you. Apart from that though, you'll find it pretty easy to consistently carry as an Evelynn if you think about how you want to approach a fight or gank. Making the best out of your stealth might take a while to get adjusted to, but once you're there, you'll get really creative with your pathing. You can even sit really close to a wall in a lane and just wait for the enemy to overextend. The moment they walk forward a bit too much, you tag them with your second ability. Naturally, they'll most likely try to run to the tower, but hey, you're already behind him, so he'll just walk into your open arms, donating that juicy kill. And with every kill that you get the game, all enemies become significantly worse as you're able to literally delete champions from existence. So now that we covered two of the most popular picks that we talk about in pretty much every single video, let's go over our question of the day. In your recent games, what champions have you been carrying the most reliably with? I'm curious to hear if you got any ones that are different from what's on our list, so let me know in the comments down below. Next up, for players with a more controlled playstyle, we got Corki. This champion has an incredible, safe laning phase thanks to his ability-based kit. Not only that, but he's also a champion that scales more than well into the later stages of the game. Primary reasons for that is his ultimate ability. Missile Barrage is an insanely well-scaling ability that may decide a fight before it even starts. In addition to that, once in a fight, you'll be granted access to your package. This enhancement to your second ability grants you extra zoning potential because nobody's allowed to walk through it, and if they willingly choose to walk through it, well, then they're probably gonna die. Believe me when I tell you that you just can't move once you step into that trail, which makes it the perfect tool for objective-based fights. You can just cut off your enemy team, or you can trap them into the dragon or baron pit. With this accomplished, the upcoming team fight becomes super easy because all the enemies are grouped up and you can just shoot them with all of your AoE abilities. And during the laning phase, you can also annoy the living hell out of your enemy by throwing your first ability every single time they go for a minion. It's ranged and is surprisingly big when you look at the actual indicator. There is just one limitation though you have to get used to as a Corki player. Early on, you don't deal that much damage, but after hitting your 3-item power spike, you will destroy your enemies. Prior to that though, you gotta play most fights just by poking out with your spells over a long period of time rather than going for all-ins. And another champion that plays similarly to the controlled fashion of Corki is Ezreal. Ezreal takes a bit of time to scale into a position where he can dominate fights in stylish fashion. Most of the time you'll see an Ezreal spam his first ability to just poke out enemies from afar. Oh, and if he hits those mystic shots, he's granted a stacking attack speed buff. With the assistance of attack speed steroid, he can start looking for close quarter skirmishes, as he's able to outstat the opponent champion with ease. Another ability that deals an insane amount of damage is his ultimate called True Shot Barrage. Especially when you're looking to poke out the enemy team before an upcoming objective fight, you can use this ability to do so. In addition to that, you can also try to steal objectives with it or go for some cross-map snipe plays. But let me let you in on a secret here. An Ezreal can dominate lane if he's really good at the champion. However, you'll always find value with a champion once you hit 3 items, so even if you don't get ahead in laning phase, just hold out and you still will be a monster. To be effective inside the laning phase, you want to look for as much damage as possible. Achieving that damage often comes from utilizing your spells properly, and here's how. First, you're going to ask yourself, what makes the enemy champions I'm facing dangerous? Is it a specific spell, or just a cooldown? And what can I do once they use it? Following comes the important part. As soon as you see that the enemy laners used vital cooldowns, you need to do something about it. Fish for your second ability, and if you hit it, use your third ability right after to deal massive damage to your opponent. By doing so, you put yourself in a position where you might be able to inflict even more damage upon your opponent, which will eventually lead to a kill, or at worst, a gold lead. For Ezreal, it's really important to know your limit and how to use your third ability. It's your second flash, and you want to be confident in how you're using it in fights. Most of the time, you'll use it to shift to either escape or collect a kill that's going to win you the fight. But just because those are the most common uses, don't let that stop you from getting creative with it. The next champion is one that simply loves chaos, and due to the nature of solo queue, you'll see plenty of that in the vast majority of your games. So it's up to you to take initiative and capitalize with Katarina. Kat just loves killing, and the best place to do so, at least most of the time, is the dragon lane. There you'll get 2 kills for the price tag of just 1 roam, and with the additional gold, you'll start to consistently solo kill your laner. Prior to that though, you mostly just want to sit back and lane. There's not much that you can do apart from farming a few minions and getting as much experience as you can. The moment you hit level 3 though, the dynamic in lane definitely shifts. You can now actively look for quick trades utilizing your combo, and more than that, you can also clear non-cannon waves super fast and then look for roams. Another shift in the lane dynamic happens once you hit level 5. With this power spike, you can instantly kill any squishy mid laner that's out of position. In addition to that, only the very tankiest champions can follow you into the fog of war. Anyone else risks getting one-shot instantly. After purchasing Hextech Gunblade, it doesn't really matter anymore if the enemy laner is out of position. Even the last bounce of your first ability is going to slow the enemy champion if they're hit. This grants you an opening that you can use to kill them, and a fed Katarina is nothing that you want to deal with. Trust me. For teamfights, our primary goal is to visit Reset City by killing enemies one after another. Just make sure that you're looking out for enemy champions that can lock you in place in teamfights. Once you've learned to assess situations properly, you'll find yourself climbing the ladder really fast. And another assassin that is absolutely crazy right now is Akali. Contrary to Katarina, Akali's laning phase is rather oppressive. By spamming her first ability and using her passive, she's gonna murder almost any enemy champion in her way. Level 1, by the way. As Akali gains access to her other core abilities, this only gets worse, and the moment she hits level 5, she will kill you from 100 to 0 thanks to her perfect execution. To make it even more unfair, she can also stealth in the middle of the fight, leaving her enemies clueless about her next move. You simply have to respect the shroud and keep your distance as the relatively squishy carry. If you don't do so, you will quickly be taken care of, and the Akali is going to walk away with a wide smile on their face. Combining her mobility with her stealth makes her the perfect assassin. One of the only options that you have against her is the Stasis enchantment. Outside of that, you just gotta be aware of her positioning, as she can travel a long distance in a very short while. So if you're interested in making enemy carries cry tears of salt, go take a look at Akali in the Baron lane. And last but not least is Ziggs. Compared to the other champions that we've presented, Ziggs as a champion serves almost as an anti-carry. His job is to entirely zone the enemy team by using his third ability, making it almost impossible for them to pass through without taking heavy damage. More than that, he can safely throw bombs at them from a very high distance, and once they get too close, he can just bounce them back with his satchel charge. Similar to Evelynn, he can solo deny the enemy's ability to take objectives. His Mega Inferno Bomb is just way too much of a threat, as it deals a large amount of damage, not only to champions, but also to objectives. The most difficult part about Ziggs by far is learning how to position yourself. You are very squishy, and it's really easy to take care of you once you're caught. Consequently, you have to plan ahead and get into a position where you can actually play around your identity as an anti-carry poke mage. This way, it's almost impossible to take you out, and therefore not a good time for the enemy team. In lane, you ideally just want to survive and farm up. Ziggs as a champion isn't known to stomp lane, but he doesn't have to. He scales super well into the late game and can easily carry from that position too. Even though your damage in lane isn't the highest, you can still solo kill your opponents if you're good at sequencing your angles and his skill shots. If you're interested in a champion like this, make sure to check him out because unless he's nerfed, he's gonna remain as an insane pick in the mid lane.
And there you have it. If you're sick of your teammates dragging you down, then learn these champions to hard carry your games. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and sub to the channel. And also don't forget to check out our Discord to vote on what facial hair I do next. That's it for today, so best of luck on the Rift, everybody. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time.